untold stories, and powerful transformations. From the streets of Lagos to the heart of Nairobi, from the mines of Congo to the tech labs of Cape Town, the African story is being written every day. Bold, dynamic, unstoppable. This is African News on Voice of the People Television. We don't just bring you the news. We analyze and bring you Africa's heartbeat, the politics that shapes our nations, the economies that drives our future, the cultures that defines who we are, the voice that must be heard. Africa News, Africa's voice, Africa's future. Where Africa speaks, the world listens.
Good evening, Africa. My name is Bamakore, actor, model, producer, and I'm giving a big shout out to VOP TV, man. Keep watching. Don't change the dial. Thank you and God bless you.
My name is AY, and of course, I represent the voice of the people, and that's why I'm on VOP. AY say so.
Hi everyone, it's your girl Miriam Tima from the Real Housewives of Lagos and the Real Housewives Ultimate Girl Trip Africa. Shout out to VOP, the voice of the people. You already know. Stay tuned, keep watching. And don't forget, VOP is the best.
Alright, hello, it's about that shaking man fine back with Melanie Poppy Black Skin Boy. This is VOP TV. If you're not watching VOP, I don't know why you're watching. Maybe you're watching your weight.
Hello, beautiful people. This is Wale Ojo, and you're watching VOP, Voice of the People.
Hi guys, you already know who it is. This is New Energy. Flyers whatever live. Keep watching VOP TV. Thank you.
Hi people, Ginny Albano here. Guys, please keep watching Voice of the People.
When I first heard VOP, I thought they were talking about me because I'm a voiceover personality. But no, this is Voice of the People TV, and you are riveted forever because this is the place to be.
Yo guys, your boy Chella. Shout out to VOP TV. I love you guys.
Salut, salut tout le monde. Suspect 95. Là, on est sur VOP TV. On passe un bon temps. J'espère que vous kiffez. On est au Afrima. On est ensemble. VOP TV.
Don't see me like a fool because I don't do giddy giddy giddy. VOP, you don't know Stoneware from Ghana representing live and living color. Yeah, Beam Nation President. Outside with it. Bless up.
Hello, this is Milo from Ivory Coast. Keep watch Voice of the People TV. Regardez la voix du peuple, la télévision de la voix du peuple. Que Dieu vous bénisse. À très bientôt. Love you so much.
Hi guys, what's up? This is Gaze Baba. I am watching VOP TV. Usually you be told to not touch the dial, but I tell you to touch the dial and increase the volume. You're like, keep it locked. It's Afro Gospel. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Shego Arunze. You're watching VOP. Don't change the dial.
My Joe, fine girl. My Joe, fine babe. Only are you, but on the Fuji was. Yes, don't touch the dial. This is me, Dr. Adiwala Iba. Keep watching VOP TV.
Hello there, my name is Damilola Ogunsi, also known as the Goldfish.
Hi, my name is Chiki Bright Emmanuel. I'm an actor and a filmmaker.
Hello peeps, my name is Yomi E. Adejumo.
Hi everyone, I'm Paul Utomi.
Hi everyone, my name is Stacey Benjamin and this is Voice of the People TV.
I need you to keep it locked to VOP TV. See, are you looking for good entertainment? You want to get good movies, good music, politics, talk shows, sports and entertainment. You really want a channel that gives you everything you need without you having to run around. VOP is where you are. That's Voice of the People.
If you're not listening to this, you're not one of us. And you deserve to be killed. Scrap chat. Don't be killed, but watch it. Or I'll find you. And I want you.
and you are locked on VOP TV. Don't go nowhere. This is where the juice is. This is where all you need for entertainment, politics, movies, and whatnot.
And keep watching VOP TV.
So keep it locked because I'm locked already, man, and it's money back guarantee. So you're gonna have a good time because I do.
And please keep watching VOP TV.
I want something actually. I beg you, subscribe, watch it. If not, whatever you see.
You better not touch that dial because VOP is the plot.
In a world where power shifts with every headlines, news breaks and events happens, we bring you unbiased and explicit information on politics, economy and state of the nation. We break down the chaos. Facts, not fluff. Truth, not spin. We discuss not just politics, but a glimpse into the future. Voice of the People Television. Now you have more than a voice.
Behind every broken desk lies a broken promise. Education shapes the nations. But who is asking the right questions? Introducing Edu Dialogue, the show that goes beyond the surface, exposes the cracks, the corruption, and the silence in Nigeria's education system. Edu Dialogue, Saturdays, 3 p.m., only on VOP TV. We break the biggest stories, from missing funds to policy failures. We ask the tough questions and demand real answers. Edu Dialogue, this Saturday, 3 p.m. on Voice of the People Television. This is African News on Voice of the People Television, where we don't just bring you the news, we bring you Africa's heartbeat, the policies that shapes our world, and the economy that determines our future. African News on Voice of the People Television. Stay with us.
My name is Tao Familoni, and here is to VOP TV. Keep watching, stay tuned, do not touch that dial.
My name is Made Kuti and you're watching VOP TV. Keep watching.
Welcome, my name is Zika Davis. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, boys, viewers, everybody, boys and girls. This is VOP TV. Do you know what that means? Voice of the People TV. You don't have a voice, don't come here. You better make sure your voice is heard.
This is Health Check, your weekly guide to better living.
This is African News on Voice of the People Television, where we don't just bring you the news, we bring you Africa's heartbeat, the policies that shapes our world, and the economy that determines our future. African News on Voice of the People Television. Stay with us.
My name is Tao Familoni, and here is to VOP TV. Keep watching, stay tuned, do not touch that dial.
My name is Made Kuti and you're watching VOP TV. Keep watching.
Welcome, my name is Zika Davis. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, boys, viewers, everybody, boys and girls. This is VOP TV. Do you know what that means? Voice of the People TV. You don't have a voice, don't come here. You better make sure your voice is heard.
Tuned to the issues. Your plug to the stories making the buzz, from politics to science and technology, social justice, and more. Let's tackle the tough questions and expose the truth. The issues on Voice of the People Television. Don't just react, understand. Do you want your voice to be heard? Do you know that you matter in the scheme of things? The People's Voice, the show where ordinary citizens take center stage as we discuss the biggest stories that affect you and I. With you in mind, we facilitate lively discussions, debates, and interviews on the topics that matter most to you and I, from social justice to economic empowerment, education to healthcare, governance, and more, tackling tough topics and amplifying your voice. Join the conversation and make your voice count. The People's Voice. Make your voice count. Awards, the razzmatazz, music, fashion, interviews, and more. Spotlight on Voice of the People Television. Let's feed you with all the juicy stories in the global entertainment space, bringing you the glitz and glamour as it is hot. Stay tuned to Spotlight, 1 p.m. Monday to Friday. Spotlight on VOP TV. Entertainment like never before.
Good morning, Nigeria, and welcome to VOP this morning on Voice of the People Television. I am Chukuma Okoro. Thank God today is Friday. TGIF, as usual. I get to rest over the weekend. I'm always happy on Fridays because, I mean, it's my rest period. Good morning, Jen.
Good morning.
Good morning,
Good
Moses.
morning to you, Prof.
Beautiful people, good to have you. Good morning, Otumba. Good to have you this morning.
Oh, yes.
All right, well, in the next 2 hours, we are going to take you through very interesting stories about what happened in Nigeria, politics, insecurity, economy, and all of that. Let's start with it. Akpabio, accused of forgery by colleagues as electronic transmission of results, is dropped off in new electoral reforms. Away from that, terrorists successfully operated and killed several people before military arrived after 10 hours in Kwara village. Head laments. That is the head of the village is the one that said, look, we had to wait for 10 hours after we informed the military before they arrived. And by then, damage had already been done. And in party politics, no factions in PDP. We are taking over party secretariat on Monday. Samuel Anyanwu declares. Well, these are the major topics of discussion. And you agree with me that they are very, very interesting topics. But we also have other trending stories that we'll talk about in the course of this show. Please come along with us as we get into all of it.
All right, come along with us. Yes, I'm Moses Humphrey. Now let's look at one of the conversations that Nigerians are having. Nigeria's troubled refining sector may be heading for a controversial shakeup as the Nigeria National Petroleum Company Limited, NNPCL, confirmed it is in advanced talks with one of China's biggest petrochemical firms to revive its moribund site-owned refineries. A move disclosed by the Group Chief Executive Officer, Bayo Julari, at the Nigeria International Energy Summit in Abuja. Now, the deal, which involves selling equity stakes to foreign operators, is part of NNPC's strategy to end decades of losses and underperformance across its 4 refineries with a combined capacity of 445,000 barrels per day. Officials hailed the talks as a breakthrough that could finally reduce Nigeria's crippling dependence on imported fuel, while critics, on the other hand, argue it amounts to selling off national assets under the guise of partnership, raising fears that ordinary Nigerians may still face high pump prices despite foreign investment. Okay, so here is my take on this one. And now, the company that Mr. Ojulari approached for, on behalf of NNPCL approached is not made known yet. And I wonder, because talking about, now, I don't have a problem with selling off NNPC, as it were. Nigerians have said, some are saying it's national assets. I mean, it's not some monument that we need to, build a fence around. It's something that should serve. So if it's not serving the people, then we can as well give it to those that will make it work. All right. But the statements coming from Mr. Bayo Julari seems a little confusing. You know, he comes in, initially he says, oh, we can actually make this thing work. And then later he says, oh, this cannot work. In fact, we've just been paying salaries and there's nothing that can be done. And now we are hearing, oh, it's time to sell. I mean, it feels like selling was what the intention was from the get-go. But selling to Chinese, I understand that at some point, Mr. Aliko Dangote tried to purchase this, but, you know, we all know what happened. And then, don't we have other Nigerians that might be interested in purchasing higher stakes in NNPC, as it were? Because, I mean, if Nigerians purchase it, then we can have a balanced market. Because we have Dangote refinery producing, and then we have NNPC operated largely by Nigerian investors with the government of Nigeria. And then Nigerians, other Nigerians can also buy stakes in it, buy shares in it, and the money will just go round. You know, the money will circulate within the economy. I think that's what they do in other climes. In China, you would rarely find an American going to invest in, you know, such an industry in China when they have Chinese that have the money to invest. And that, I mean, we should stop pushing out, you know, what should ordinarily benefit Nigerians, and then let other nationals take advantage of us. And Chinese are not, I mean, I'm sorry to say this, but Chinese are not the best people to do business with. We've seen how they handle the workers in the industries that they've established in Nigeria, the factories and all of that. We've seen how they run these things. It was the other day we saw some Chinese nationals giving monies to policemen, and it was embarrassing. And I mean, how far that went showed that we've embarrassed ourselves as a nation, and now we're bringing the same Chinese. It's troubling to me to think about. But another thing is, will this solve the issue of fuel prices going up? I don't think so. I don't think so, because it's going to be profit. I mean, that's just what would be the intention of whoever is going to invest in this, making profit. And it might just be at the detriment of Nigerians. That's my take.
Well, every investor is interested in making profits.
Oh, yes.
At the detriment of the people.
No, he doesn't care. Investors don't care. So long as they deliver value, you know, if they deliver value to you and they take their money away, that's all that they want. I agree with you. The Chinese are not the best people, you know, to deal with in terms of business. They are, even in diplomacy, they are very, very cunning.
So
you know, yes, that is it. And they don't make it, they don't hide it. You know, it's very clear. If you like, if the Chinese people are doing their business here in Ikeja, you know, and here where we are, and there is a war going on in some part of Festac, they don't care. It's not their business. They continue with what they are doing, so long as they are not affected. That's who they are. You know, that's the way their politics is structured. Now, that said, we talked about the NNPC yesterday and the number jumbo it has become over time. I think the Nigerian people, the Nigerian government has not managed the NNPC well right from inception. Right from inception up until this moment. I think Dangote happens to be one of the luckiest Nigerians, you know, alive. You know, he paid some money for the refinery at some point. And he was refunded.
He was refunded.
You know, I think it was good for him. Now that he has his own private refinery, you know, government said they invested some, they have equity stakes in that business. Up until this moment, we don't even know how much. We are still holding a debate about how much was paid, how much was allotted, and all of that. But the issue is that Dangote owns more than, you know, the 50% or about 80% of the interest in that refinery, and it's good for him. Talking about Bayo Ojulari, like I said yesterday, if I were the president, I would ask Bayo to step aside, because he has clearly told me that he doesn't know what he's doing. He doesn't know his onions as far as that job is concerned. The refinery has become an albatross to the extent that you sell is a problem. You return it is a bigger problem. Because, well, you have officialdom, managing director, chief executive with the executive directors, general managers, senior staff association, everybody that goes to work every day and they get paid. They even attend overseas training. And I ask myself, what are you going to train them? When you train them, when they come back, what do they do? Because the refineries are not working. The refineries are not working. But I would like for us to also know that there are some companies within the NNPCL that are working, you know, the people that are into exploration and the downstream sector people, you know, they are working. But we are focusing on the refinery. The refinery has become like an albatross. What do we do with it? Is it to sell or is it to keep? If you sell, Moses was talking about how many Nigerians that can buy. Nigerians can buy, but who is interested in buying what is more like a scrap? Some of the equipment there, the OEM are no longer there. The original equipment manufacturers are no longer there. The Port Harcourt one, I understand, was built in 1965. That's about how many years ago? About 61 years ago. Oh, yeah?
Yes.
61 years ago. So, I mean, some of those equipment, they cannot be maintained and all of that. But we also are told that, well, somebody might just buy, not because of the carcass, but because of the land itself, the asset, the property assets to it. They can use it to do another thing. It has proximity to the ocean, you know, in the one that is located in some parts of Eleme. Eleme is very close to One in Port Harcourt, and so people might just buy because of the land, the property there and all of that. But for refinery, I think the earlier the government, you know, I don't even know what to say, but the government should just, you know, find a way, the lasting solution to the refinery problem. I heard that we are talking about it every other day, refinery, and we are even still talking about importing fuel.
But Mr.
When we
Okoro,
have the raw
Mr.
materials
Okoro,
here.
I don't think that this is a problem that we might see a solution to very soon, because just like both of you rightly said, as long as these refineries remain moribund, monies will be made. So I think, for me, I don't think selling it off to a new investor, a private investor, even to the Chinese, and you said they are very shrewd and very cunning businessmen, I don't think that will even solve the problem. As far as the politicking, the corruption, and every other thing that ensures that broken down refineries make money for them, as long as those things are not fixed, I mean, selling it off, you know, for me, is as good as just transferring a dilapidated property to a new landlord.
No, when you said both assets and liabilities.
Okay,
so the person that is buying, buy both assets and liabilities.
But we still have a structural and systematic issue that has ensured that this thing doesn't work forever. And just like you said, I've grown up hearing about refineries, no, and it's also, let me just say this, and it's also very sad that for an oil-producing nation, we are still importing fuel.
That is the worry.
I think
it's
that's
even
the
more
irony.
concerning.
I
It's
think
more
that's the
concerning
irony.
that we have refineries, about 4 of them. We have 2 in Port Harcourt. We have 1 in Warri, and we have 1 in Kaduna.
Yes.
You know, I think the one in Kaduna is a petrochemical estate. We also have a petrochemical plant in Eleme, you know, somewhere in River State, and all of that. It's disheartening that in all of this. And the argument, you know, that we always prefer sometimes that, look, well, government has no business in business. It's an African thing. It's not an African, it's a Nigerian thing. Yeah. Because we'll talk about companies, you know, government-owned corporations that are doing well. Petrobras is government-owned. Aramco is government-owned. Statoil of Norway, they've changed their name to something. State Oil of Norway is government-owned. Kenya Airlines is government-owned. Though we understand that there is private investment in all of it.
Ethiopian Airlines.
It's ETA, you know, government-owned and all of that. South African Airlines.
I grew up meeting Nigerian Airways. Right now, we don't even have a national carrier. So that's even another...
So it's quite unfortunate. Well, let them know what to do with the refineries. Let's get into the next topic of discussion. The high-profile trial of former Kogi State Governor Yaya Bellow over alleged diversion of 80.2 billion naira has taken a dramatic twist as an EFCC witness, a compliance officer from Access Bank, testified in court that no transaction records directly link Bellow to the funds in question, contradicting the prosecution's narrative. Well, Bellow's legal team, led by Senior Advocate of Nigeria, Joseph Daudu, seized on the testimony to argue that the case is politically motivated rather than a genuine money laundering prosecution, accusing the EFCC of conducting a political trial designed to tarnish the ex-governor's image. I like that. The EFCC, however, insists that the patterns of payments from Kogi's local government accounts amount to stealing by these guys, maintaining that Bellow orchestrated the alleged fraud. As proceedings continue before Justice Emeka Nwite at the Federal High Court in Abuja, the case has become a lightning rod for public distrust in Nigeria's anti-corruption war, exposing the deep divide between political loyalty and institutional credibility. When I heard this story, I just laughed. That's the way
laughable.
It's laughable. That's the way we roll in Nigeria. Meanwhile, I think it's a different case with the monies that were paid to the British school. The school, because I mean that money has been returned. You know,
part of it.
Was it part of it?
Yes.
Okay, part of that money has been returned. When EFCC was sworn in after who? I think when they were running after Alam Yesia and Daria and all of that. I had a friend. I was in Port Harcourt then. I had a friend and he said, we read it in the newspaper that EFCC is politically motivated and all of that. That they are running after him. That is that they are not following due process and all of that. You know what my friend asked? My friend said, did he eat the money following due process? That if he didn't eat the money following due process, that they should go after him without due process. So in all of this, it's laughable that I don't even know what to say on this matter. I mean, EFCC witness has come out to say, well, that there is no, the compliance officer in Access Bank has come out to say, well, there is nothing, linking these funds to Yaya Bellow. I think it's all politics.
It's all politics, really. We've seen, I saw this coming. I saw this coming with the way Mr. Bellow has been hobnobbing with some other people in the APC, and there are talks that he might be getting into the Senate very, very soon. So all of this is clearing the way for him to get into the Senate. But I feel bad for the people of Kogi State. I feel bad for all Nigerians, because that's the money. Money is belonging to the people of Kogi State. I think to the tune of 110 billion, if I'm not mistaken. Yes. Everything put together. And now, I will fault the EFCC in all of this. EFCC hasn't done well in terms of investigating and prosecuting offenders. When an agency, as the EFCC, is described as or is seen to be politicized, then we have a big problem on our hands. If the agency is independent, agencies are not independent, but if they were, they will conduct investigations properly. You conduct investigations, you finish up your investigation, had proof that an individual is guilty, and then when you now arrest or invite the individual, there'll be no way to wiggle out of it. You by the time you lay the evidence before you, the individual wouldn't have a choice but to just, and that's how it's done abroad. That's how it's done abroad. Before we talk about Epstein files and the rest of them, investigations have been concluded. What the conversation was whether it should be made public or not. All right? Before we talked about WikiLeaks and the rest of them, they were, investigations. It was known that crimes were committed. Espionage was committed. In this particular case, monies were stolen. Monies were diverted. If you want to use that word, if you don't want to say stolen. Monies were diverted into other things. How much proof do you have? And now we are having, a witness from EFCC debunking what EFCC said originally. And I wonder where this puts the chairman of EFCC, who said, look, if I don't prosecute this man, I will resign.
Yeah, but he's prosecuting him.
Yeah.
This is law, right?
But he sounded so sure. Look, that he had proof.
Okay.
But now he doesn't feel like it's had proof, and it will be embarrassing. And you see why? This is why a person like Mrs. Diezani Allison Madrikwe would want to come to Nigeria.
To face trial. To face trial.
She wants to come and be tried here. Because she knows that here, you can wiggle out of it.
Yes. But you know what they say in law, that your case is as good as your evidence. The strength of your evidence determines whether you win or lose the case. And on most occasions, what we hear is that, well, there was lack of prosecutorial diligence in pursuing the case. And most of the time, the case is just struck out. They just strike it out because of lack of evidence. Technicalities and all of that. Meanwhile, the Supreme Court, I think it was Tanku that warned lawyers to desist from using technicalities to win their cases. Because some of them will just sit by and watch you. A little sleep, they will latch on it, you know. They will dwell on it all until the judge will say, well, for lack of prosecutorial diligence, we are striking out the case, and technicality is based on that. But we are not seeing more of that now. But the police has not been very, very diligent in investigations. And if you just bungle the investigation, the case is gone.
Yeah, I also agree with you. I also think that this is one of those cases that just reminds all of us as Nigerians that our justice system is skewed to favor the politically connected and the rich. You started off by giving, you cited the example of the amount of money he paid. I mean, there's an evidence to that. There's evidence to it. And for me, I've lived almost 40 years of my adult life in Nigeria, long enough to know that, we even confirmed it yesterday, that Nigeria is a country of anything, anyhowness. Anything goes. Anybody can do anything. In short, the more politically connected you are, you know, the easier it is for you to get off the hook. And again, in saner climes, people like this should even not have any business being like opening their mouth or even talking about the fact that they're aspiring for public office. But because this country, and in fact, the longer a court case lingers, we just know that this one is just one of those cases.
That's what,
you know, EFCC, the anti-graft agency will talk tough. They won't do anything.
They won't do anything.
So
let's run into the next banter briefly.
Okay. In an interesting turn of events that has comforted some Nigerians, the last batch of abducted worshippers seized during a brazen attack on 3 churches in Kominwali, Kajuru local government area of Kaduna State have finally regained their freedom, weeks after gunmen stormed the community on January 18th and whisked away over 167 Christians in broad daylight. The police initially denied the incident, sparking outrage and disbelief, before later admitting the mass abduction that indeed occurred. While 80 worshippers were released on February 1, the remaining captives were quietly freed days later and handed over to the Kaduna State government, pending an official announcement. This release, though a relief to families, underscores the deepening insecurity in Nigeria's north, where communities continue to live under the shadow of armed groups and where faith gatherings have become targets of terror. We are not new to all of these rhetorics by the Nigerian police and the military. It's really sad that, you know, they keep playing politics, keep trying to minimize the extent of, you know, carnage and all of this. When I read this earlier today, I felt really sad because it seems as though it's just a cycle. These things happen. Yesterday we talked about about the fact that not that we lack intelligence, but the fact that it's either there is complicity, which we all agree to, or there's just the lack of, you know, political will to do the right thing. And, you know, when we see this, because we know that it will only get worse, it just shows that nobody is holding anyone accountable. Mr. Okoro, what do you think?
Jen, I don't even know what to think again. It's heavy for me. It's a lot. But, well, we understand that the rebellion kidnapped people have been returned.
They said quietly freed.
Quietly freed. Okay, we thank them very well, you know, for letting them go. And we are even pleading with them, please don't take other people, don't kidnap people again. So that we can have peace in this our country. We are tired of every morning somebody is killed, every afternoon somebody is kidnapped, every evening somebody is freed and all of that. Please, enough of all of this. Can't we live as decent people in our own homeland? Can't we? It's disheartening. Okay, that's the Christians that were relieved, you know?
Yeah.
Oh, beautiful. I'm sure if you look at them now, some people will be begging to be kidnapped and are released. So that, I mean, you understand, when this thing happened in Kwara, we saw them, you know, with bespoke uniforms and all of that, and people are like, oh, then the government is doing well. Meanwhile, before this people were kidnapped, they don't even do anything for them and all of that.
It's embarrassing. It's embarrassing for the nation. It's embarrassing for I don't know. It's really embarrassing. And you see, the way we've tried to cover
these kidnappings. I mean, we're making kidnapping look like it's a thing of it's a fun thing. I mean, it's a thing to just play with. These are people's lives. Some of these people might be traumatized.
They would be.
Now, I understand from the look on their faces, they didn't just leave the kidnappers then. They've been away for some time. They've had to, be sensitized. They've had to treated, gone for treatment. One of them, obviously, seems to have difficulty walking, and he had to be assisted.
Child.
No. There's another young man who seemed to have.
I'm talking about the mother with the child. So obviously, the child too was abducted alongside the mom.
This is traumatizing, and the fact that our politicians, it's not the first time they rescue victims of kidnap, and then we see them dressed in uniform attire. Is it Ashwebi? Why are we playing with lives of people?
Everything is optics.
What is this?
Everything is optics.
Wearing t-shirts and cap and the same wrapper and the rest. What is this? The other time it was, they would always show the same. What do we try to portray? That they are well dressed.
Maybe it's for identification.
That they were well taken care of.
By who? The kidnappers or the rescuers?
By the government.
By the government. You know how much, the budget for this?
This is another budget again. This is somebody's contract.
It's huge. It's going to be huge.
Exactly. This is embarrassing for a nation. It's embarrassing. Oh, well, let's move away from these conversations. Nigerians will continue to share their thoughts on it on social media. You can also check us out on social media at VOP TV Live. And when you have these pictures there, you'll drop your comments underneath. Let's keep the conversation going on across social media. But in the meantime, let's run to the papers. Let's see what the papers have for us now. I do have Daily Independent, and the big story here reads, flight safety at risk as Nigeria's jet fuel black market booms. Flight safety at risk as Nigeria's jet fuel black market booms. Trouble. All right. So, okay. Anyway, we'll talk more about this during this newspaper review. Find out where airlines are getting their fuel from, their jet A1 from. If it's not provided by the government, who then is providing jet A1 for airlines? Can we trust it? Is the relevant agencies, the NCAA and the rest of them, are they looking at the quality of the jet A1 that airlines use, since it's not coming from, government sources? I mean, the black market. Okay. Independent newspaper unveils Silver Jubilee Awards nominees Monday. Kwara killings offend our humanity, faith, shared values. Tinubu. Some of the headlines here. Trump sports Remi Tinubu at U.S. prayer breakfast in Washington. Describes her as respected Nigerian pastor. Electoral Act. Senators reaffirm passage of clause on e-transmission of results. Kaduna governor receives freed worshippers abducted from churches. That's the one we just saw on our screen. Opposition blasts Senate over rejection of real-time e-transmission of election results. Public trust major hurdle for Nigeria's new tax laws. Report. Tech alone can't fix Nigeria's voting crisis. INEC registers 2 new political parties. Kwara, Katsina, Benue killings, Nigeria now a killing field. Atiku. Those are the headlines on the cover page of the Daily Independent newspaper.
And on the front page of the Punch newspaper, the Kwara State massacre is a big story. UN condemns killings as Turkey pledges support. Tinubu meets governors, northern senators, demands security overhaul. IG deploys tactical team. PDP crisis. Makinde camp fumes as INEC recognizes Wike bloc. Respected woman, Trump hails Remi Tinubu at U.S. prayer breakfast. So those are the major stories on the Punch newspaper this morning.
All right, so we'll take a break now. When we come back, we'll look at the first conversation, which is about Akpabio accused of forgery by colleagues, as the e-transmission of results is dropped. Well, let's talk about that when we come back from this break.
news on the street.
We go to bed empty hunger.
To the blaring horns of a hustling city. The loudest voices of the common man got a medium to be heard.
This particular administration, they were coming unprepared.
It's not a bad thing to renovate the president's lodge.
Through top-notch programming, unbiased reportage of news, sports, business, entertainment, and cultural documentaries, Voice of the People 90.3 FM became a symbol for 21st century media. And now, a new baby is born. Voice of the People Television, VOP TV, youthful, full of vigor and penchant for excellence in the continent's media space, exposing the wrongs, applauding the rights, dissecting the news without fear or favor, through factual and accurate stories and contents.
Corruption kills three things that makes a society.
Representing the interests of the people and giving them a voice. Voice of the People TV is here to stay towards building a fair society. VOP TV, Voice of the People Television, truly a voice for the people. Are you ready for the extraordinary? Something big is happening on your screen. Introducing VOP TV, now streaming on SLTV channel 264. From breaking news to captivating conversations, news analysis, giving you all sides to the story. We break in-depth discussions on the issues that matter, from politics to sports, entertainment, and lifestyle. VOP TV on SLTV channel 264. Join us as we redefine what television means to you. Voice of the People Television, VOP TV. Now you have more than a voice.
Now, thanks for staying with us. This is VOP This Morning. Let's get into our first major topic of discussion. Nigeria's Senate was plunged into controversy after opposition lawmakers accused Senate President Godswill Akpabio of forging official proceedings to remove the clause mandating electronic transmission of election results from the Electoral Act. Well, the move, which effectively blocks real-time result transmission, has sparked outrage across the political spectrum, with Senators Enyinaya Abaribe, Aminu Tambuwal, Natasha Akpoti-Odoahan, and other opposition lawmakers saying that the electoral reform bill that was signed was not the version approved by the Senate. Here we go again, insisting that the electronic transmission of results must be retained. Well, former Vice President Atiku Abubakar described the Senate's action as a setback for electoral reforms, while Peter Obi blasted it as a direct assault on Nigeria's democracy. Civil society groups and opposition parties, including the African Democratic Congress, ADC, and the PDP, have warned that tampering with the act undermines public trust and risks plunging the country into deeper political instability. The backlash has been fierce, with PDP spokesperson Debo Ologunagba warning the Senate not to take Nigerians for granted, while activist Ma Odi declared that the chamber has finally murdered Nigeria's democracy. Well, a former Kaduna lawmaker urged citizens to resist what he called a deliberate attempt to rig future elections by weakening transparency. That's a lot. Well, we've been joined in the studio here to help us make sense of it by a seasoned reporter and political analyst, Mr. Dele Fonimo. Good morning, Dele, and thanks for joining us on VOP.
Good morning, Chukuma. Jane, Moses.
Good morning to you.
Okay. We'll also be joined virtually by Barrister Eze Eluche. He's an attorney at law and public affairs analyst. We also have Barrister Asim Adams, a legal practitioner, a constitutional lawyer for that matter, as well as a political affairs analyst. And from our Benin outstation, we've been joined by Comrade Destiny Enabulele, former executive chairman of Ovia South local government area, former member of the State House Assembly, and he's on this show in the capacity of a public affairs analyst. Good morning, gentlemen, and thanks for joining us. We appreciate your presence on VOP this morning.
Kuma, for having me.
Beautiful.
And good morning, viewers at home.
Thank you very much. All right, gentlemen, we appreciate your presence. Let's get into it. Then I would like to ask you, the Senate. Yes. Before I ask you the question, the backlash. There's a video that Engineer Abaribe, the Senate Minority Leader, sometime. I'm not sure if he's still the Senate Minority Leader, but where he spoke about, the dropping of the real-time electronic transmission in the electoral reform. Say, well, this is not what we signed for. Here we go again, like what happened in the tax reform bill. So let's take a listen to it.
Those who are before you are distinguished senators of the Federal Republic, and this is those who are among those who are very concerned about the reports in the media that we have all seen, and the media has been awash with it since yesterday. So we felt, those of us who are still around, that it would be necessary to make a clarification of what happened yesterday, to put the records straight. Yesterday, the Senate did not, I repeat, did not pass transfer of results, which was in the 2022 Act. What we passed, and which the Senate President himself, when he was doing a clarification sitting on his chair, is transmission of results. And I need to make this very clear. Every one of us who is a senator, who has the privilege to represent a senatorial district, came here under the trust of their senatorial zone. And each one of them imbues in himself or herself a public trust, a trust that has been handed to us by Nigerians to do the absolute best for Nigeria. And when it now appears that we have been misunderstood in any way, that's why we said we will come here, each and every one of us this morning, including those that are not here, a vast majority of the senators, to say that this is exactly the process that we passed through to get to this point. First, there was a joint committee of both the Senate and the House, made up of members of the electoral committees in both chambers. These joint committees had several retreats, both in Abuja and elsewhere. And each of those retreats was done with both INEC and the CSOs. Everyone agreed at the end of the retreat that electronic transmission of votes was the way to go. And that was reflected in the report, both in the House and in the Senate. Now, there was public hearing, there was everything, and this was a what they will say sine qua non. Nothing else but that. And I think the Senate President reiterated it yesterday that the committee report was brought. The Senate also set up an ad hoc committee to review this report, electoral report, and report back to the House. And it was the report of that Senate, of that ad hoc committee led by Senator Adegbomire, that we considered when we went into a closed session. And the reason for us to go into a closed session was so that we can tidy up all the niggling things inside there. And when we now come back to plenary to pass it, that we will pass it without any rancor. I can assure you, on my honor and the honor of all of us who are standing here, that both the Electoral Committee of the Senate, then the Ad hoc Committee of the Senate, and also in the executive session that we had, that we all agreed on section 63, which is electronic transmission of votes, or electronic transmission of results in real time. I think 65, I think I have it here. I'm going to bring it when we finish and distribute it to you, what we passed. Now, at the plenary session yesterday, we also passed it, but because there was a whole lot of people walking around and people talking, so it now seemed that something was wrong. We went back individually to find out from what exactly was done, and we were reassured. And the Senate President, while sitting, and I'm sure you have the videos yourself there, confirmed that we passed the electronic transmission of results. And I will show you what we have here. Now, the Harmonization Committee was set up also yesterday, because when the House version and the Senate version differ, because there were so many other things, including timelines, that now differ, you set up a harmonization. Those harmonization is what you use to make sure that you come to one single document which the president will now sign. So that is where we are at the moment. But I need to add one further thing so that Nigerians can rest assured. After our session, plenary session yesterday, we adjourned, but did not come back to pass the votes and proceedings. And that is our rule, and you all who are here, you know it. The Harmonization Committee cannot meet because the document that we use to go to the harmonization is the document passed by us and ratified by the votes and proceedings. So there's still one more step left by the Senate to take. After we pass the votes and proceedings, in which we are going to insist and ensure that what we passed, which is electronic transmission.
There you have it, Senator Eyine Abaribe addressing the media on behalf of his fellow senators that stood beside him there. Oh, well, Mr. Delefonimo, let me come straight to you. How do you react to the accusation by some members of the Senate that, well, what we saw, that what Akpabio said, it is wrong, based on, at least he outlined the process from the joint committee between the Senate and the House, the Electoral Committee of the Senate Ad hoc Committee, the closed session, the plenary session, the Harmonization Committee, and all of that. That, look, what we passed is the electronic transmission of results. Real time is the way to go, but we have something different coming out to the public. How do you react to this development again?
Well, the position of the minority in the House is in tandem with the position of an average Nigerian. The only way to ensure transparent, credible, free and fair election is to have results transmitted through electronic device. Now, it's a case of once bitten, twice shy. Even lawyers didn't know that IREV and BVAS were essentially operational tools. before last election. And so Nigerians were ambushed and we couldn't go to seek redress in the courts. And so the plausible thing is, like I said, once bitten, twice shy, is for us to find a way out of that logjam and ensure that another round of election will not be dogged by this same process. And the only way to do it is to go to the National Assembly, which the National Assembly took up as a matter of responsibility, as a matter of obligation on behalf of their constituents, and said, look, we want electronic transmission of results. And they took the steps as enunciated by Senator Abaribe without missing any step of the process, to the point of plenary, which is the last stage, where every input would be ratified by the whole chamber. And it was apparent there was something that went wrong, but because we are emotional about it last year, and that is what is playing out again here, which is this voice vote. Okay. 10 people can be rabble-rousers and drown the voice of 99, because there are 109 members in the Senate. 10 people strategically positioned in that house can drown the voice of 99 if mischief is to be done. Okay. And that was exactly what happened yesterday.
Yes, because I noticed. Did you notice when Yaya Bellow said that? But during plenary yesterday, a lot of things happened. Too many people were walking around.
That's what I'm saying.
And, you know, he more like parried that area. He didn't tell us what happened.
Exactly.
So what happened? Was
and that was voice vote. It was through voice votes that these people manipulated. But the backlash from Nigerians made the Senate president to turn around and give excuse, which was ambiguous. Okay. It was neither here nor there. Yeah. But this had put more clarification to the position of the members of the Senate.
All right. All right, and thank you very much. Now, let's run to Barrister Asim Adams. I would like for us to have this conversation once again, because Barrister Adams, I spoke to you on this matter on my show, Political Lens, and you were very clear then that, look, there is nothing like discretionary when it comes to the real-time transmission of results, that it was part of, the Supreme Court said it was part of the guidelines and not compulsory for INEC to use it. I want to know, with what is happening now with this development, how much of your position has changed? Because at that point you said, well, there is nothing. In the electoral law, it is a law. There is nothing like discretionary at that point. Now, how much of that has changed? Lead us into all that you understand. Hello.
Sokoro, good morning.
Good morning, Barrister Adams. Good morning. Thank you.
Can you? Yes.
I can hear you.
The point is, the point is, if we want to only talk about this matter, time will not be on our side, because I represented I raised time. That was in 2023, before the general elections, that there are booby traps in the Electoral Act. And one of the booby traps is this particular section 60, particularly section 60 sub 5. Section 60 sub 5 is where we are talking about today, about electronic transmission. At time, let's paraphrase what that particular section. The officer shall transfer, that is, transfer, use capital letter there, capital letter. The result, including total number of accredited votes, in a manner prescribed, in capital letter, prescribed. Two keywords there, transfer, prescribed by the commission. I raised the alarm and I said, let me tell you that the moment you now, even if you put transmission there, and you now say that it is the discretion as prescribed by the commission, who is the commission? INEC, for them to execute that particular, whatever there, you have muddled up the whole system. There will be no transparency there. That the last word used as prescribed by the commission should be deleted. To read, shall. The commission should not have any discretion at all. That the results shall be transmitted electronically. No discretionary. If you also go to, because people are talking about section 60 of 5 now, but you are forgetting that there's a guideline which is part of the Electoral Act. Section 38 is a replica of section 60 of 5. So if you amend section 60 of 5, are you not going to amend section 38 sub 1, 2, 3 of the Electoral Act 2022 also? This is a question I'm asking. Because it's the same thing, giving the INEC that discretion, the discretion that is as prescribed. It is in section 60 sub 5. It is also in guideline 38 sub 1, 2, 3 of the Electoral Act. These are minefields, and any mischievous INEC chairman or anybody at all, even myself, being a presiding officer, I can lash in on these things. Even if you say I have to do electronic transmission, but at the end of the day you say that it is the way and manner I choose as prescribed by the commission, then you have left it to my discretion. So that section 60 sub 5 should be holistically overhauled, if not deleted entirely, and rephrased or recast to state, very simple, that voting results shall be electronically transmitted. Full stop. There shouldn't be as prescribed by the commission. No.
Okay.
It should be that the results should be transmitted electronically, directly to the IRS. Full stop.
Okay, good. Thank you very much, Barrister Adams.
And they should also do same to, guideline 38, sub 1, 2, 3, which is part of the Electoral Act, which gives INEC, give them the guideline on elections, on how to go about elections.
So thank you very much, Barrister Adams. We'll come back to it in the course of the show. Let's run to Barrister Eze Eluche. Good morning to you once again, Barrister Eze Eluche, and thanks for joining us on VOP this morning.
Yeah, good morning, Chuguma. Nice to be on your program.
Thank you, sir. You're welcome always. Now, sir, I would like to ask you this question. I want us to move somehow away from the legal aspect of it and talk about the politics of it, the international nature of this problem. Now, I did some kind of check-in yesterday, and I discovered that our neighboring country here, Ghana, West African country, is English-speaking like us, conducted an election last year, and a winner emerged, and in all of this, they didn't go to court. And when I checked the electoral laws, I discovered that it is hybrid. The recommendation by their electoral umpire is that, look, there should be an electronic transmission of votes real time, and where not possible, you should use it manually, more like a hybrid, what we have here. It worked for Ghana. Why is it not working for us? So that leads me to my question. Does it look like the problem we have in Nigeria is with the operators and not with the laws? Which one will it be for you? Where is the problem? Is it with the laws or with the operators?
Yes, thank you very much. You see, gradually we are watching our country descend into a state of anarchy. When laws are made and deliberately falsified by the executive arm of government, messing up the whole process of even legislating, abusing the constitution. And it's, like you rightly said, not just Ghana. Even in Kenya, other Anglophone countries, when they have elections within a space of 2-3 days, the results are known and announced. But in Nigeria, you have people who are out there deliberately to thwart the electoral process, deliberately to muddle it up. I have said severally that the issue has never been with the laws. Never. Because you can never have you can never have it absolutely right. There must be one comma or one full stop. But if the managers of the electoral process are out to create chaos, they will always find a way to create the chaos. And that is what we're seeing now. Whether I had a chairman of the Senate Committee on Media on air saying that there was even when you don't have network in some villages or in some rural communities, it obviates the issue of automatic transmission immediately. Who says that? I mean, even if there are 3 or 4 villages, does that obviate the fact that in most parts of Nigeria you can do that electronic transmission instantaneously? We do funds remittance, we do fund transfers, and it goes from any village. And here we have modern day senators trying to give us reasons why we cannot abide with technology. We have senators who have the best cars in the world, who are one of the most highest paid in the world, and they want to use ancient voting mechanisms of shouting ayes and nays to determine very serious issues. So the issue has not been the law, rather the persons managing it, manipulating it. And you cannot but have what you're expecting, have what we're seeing. Because if the leadership, the president got to power through very skewed means, you can only expect that he will want to maintain those same skewed means so that he can continue to maintain power. But Nigeria should be up and about this, because we are seeing our democracy being eroded. When it happened with the Tax Act, that there was a forgery of the Tax Act, but now we're seeing it happen with electoral matters. Who knows what next will happen? Who knows what other laws will be manipulated to suit the vile wishes of those who are in authority presently? So Nigerians, this is time to say enough is enough, because very soon they will make the National Assembly a helpless, useless entity, and we can't afford that, because the only thing that distinguishes a democracy from authoritarian regimes or from military regimes is the National Assembly. Yes, we know we have faults, they have defects, but those are still the only semblance to democracy that we have in effect. Not the judiciary, not the executive, because even in the worst case, worst military regimes, those two groups still stay. But we need to protect this, we need to abide with this National Assembly. When they give us these signs that the laws are being manipulated, are being forged, that is when Nigerians will say enough is enough. Because already by the 31st, by the end of this February, 1st of March, more than 90% of Nigerians will become criminals based on this forged tax act. And we are keeping quiet. That it doesn't concern us. At the rate they are going, to their mind, the elections are rigged. And we are keeping quiet.
All right. Oh, well, Nigerians are not keeping quiet, actually.
Thank you very much. So I think we should begin to act.
Yes. Thank you very much, Barrister Eze Elichi. Nigerians are not keeping quiet. Nigerians are, Nigerians are troubled. Nigerians are trying to react, but the avenues available to exercise that reaction is what is blurred. Oh, well, let's bring civil rights. Let's bring Comrade, Honorable, I call him Honorable Comrade, because he was once an honorable member in his state. Well, Honorable Comrade Destiny Anabulele, good morning to you. Welcome to the conversation. Now, from the angle, you are a politician. You have, you've benefited from the largesse that is available to politicians. And some have said, oh, politicians want this thing in such a way that they can continue to rig their way into office. But we have some politicians there, Senator Eyinaya Abaribe and a few others there, saying we stand for what is right, electronic transmission of results. But how do you think the ordinary Nigerian will feel going into 2027 elections seeing what has transpired. Now, I would like us to dwell on the premise of a possible forged act. What they passed, what they agreed at the conference that they held was different from what was passed. That's according to Senator Abaribe. What they all agreed to pass was different from what was passed. How do you think that would make the ordinary Nigerian who would want to vote feel? Do you think this will this will bring about voter apathy? What are your thoughts? You might need to unmute your device so we can get your audio feed. Oh, we still can't hear you. Well, I guess we'll give you a minute.
Okay, can you hear me now? Can you hear me
yes,
now?
we can. Yes, we can. Go right ahead.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Moses. I appreciate you and salute my elders at the studio for yet another, timely discourse. For me, I am not taken aback. Though I'm not a prophet of doom. Some of us saw it coming. Some of us never believed. Till tomorrow, in this present crop of persons, from the president, from Mr. President to and his co-travelers, you shouldn't expect anything meaningful. That is the gospel truth. For a president that just assumed office, 6 months or 7 months to his administration, he has started campaigning. And people were expecting something fantastic. They're just daydreaming. We should wake up from our dream. Or rather from our nightmare. This is a nightmare. We should wake up and face reality. This is the reality before us. When they altered the tax law, none of us, the streets were not occupied. We didn't block any road. There was no tangible resistance. And you expect them. You see, let me quickly say this. There's a saying that if elders don't speak, the children will eat vulture thinking they are eating chicken. That's exactly what is happening before us. We refuse to speak during the tax law that was uttered, that daylight robbery on the Nigerian people. And here again, they are repeating it. And they will do more. We should expect more. When Adam Soshomole, they're not becoming a massage, I'm massaging a lady from South Africa, said, food, Nigeria is not shouting that food were too cheap. None of us, no tangible resistance, no tangible castigation. It's enough to cost him his office. I visit markets almost every week. Anytime I'm in Abuja, I'm in Lagos. I'm a marchelor. It's only when I'm in Benin. I'm a married man. I'm a marchelor when I'm in Abuja. I go to markets. When I heard that, I looked at and said, well, this nation called Nigeria, we're at it again, at the edge of precipice. Well, with utmost humility. I've said it, I've told whoever cared to listen. That as we all go out to gym, permit me to say this. It's my Nigeria. If I'm opportune, take it or leave it. The reality is staring us in the face. As we all go out to gym every week, we must set aside.
Yes, you've said that quite a number of times. We should.
Yes, I said it's gonna be giving opportunity to keep on reminding Nigerians. I come in Lebanon. You see, Mr. Moses, there's a saying in the Bible, it says faith cometh by hearing, and by hearing the word of God always. I must keep on to remind Nigerians that what we need to do. Because if we fail to do what we need to do, that which we fail to do will become the sacrifice. Nigerians, as we go out to gym every week, we must set aside 1 hour to practice madness, Jet towards 2027, in preparation for 2027. You see, what they have succeeded in doing, I was a very active participant, neck deep in the last Edo State governorship election. See, it's at the discretion. They can tell you, it's not a law that they must transmit. It's not that they must transmit. And if you look at the ones that were rejected, like the issue of persecuting vote buyers by way of jail or fine, they removed all those clauses of provisions. And we expect utmost humility from that. What kind of humility with this rubber stamp national assemblies? It is quite disheartening for me. Because I'm a lover of the Voice of the People's TV. That's why I'm here, because I have resolved because we are not doing enough. I beg to differ from the last.
Well, it's not just about voice of the people. Well, we appreciate you being here. We appreciate you being here. But as a Nigerian, Honorable,
we are not doing enough, Mr. Moses.
As a Nigerian, you're sounding like you're not bothered about voting anymore.
Sorry?
You're sounding like you don't care about elections anymore, like you will not go out to vote. That's the way you're sounding.
My brother, yes. I will say yes and no, and I will explain.
Please do.
Yes. If we want to see the forthcoming election as a data-driven and a Tea Party or Owambe election, I have told whoever can to listen. The forthcoming election is not an election of you wearing Niger Delta dress. It's an election of you wearing your short or jean. Anywhere you find yourself. As I go, I have a short inside my vehicle. When I finish, I'll change back to short. Because, you see, desperate time requires desperate measure. Next, I've used it over and over. The experience I had in my village when a certain guy, trying to woo my cousin, and she refused, and she tried to assault or abuse her. And I called my friends to go and defend my sister in terms of, say, why should you do it like that? Got in there, I said that he was a heavily built guy, taller than and heavy. I will show you that. I looked at my friend. I said, bro, this should be suicidal. We turned back because we saw him. He was already ready. If you see, said just now that so Nigerians. You see, when I said,
so basically, are you saying that Nigerians are intimidated, or Nigerians should not be intimidated?
I'm coming. Yeah, let me learn with this thought.
Okay.
You know, when the president said election is not serve a la carte, Nigeria should take that, should underline, I think, and say, indeed, elections. Any leader or politician that said that the forthcoming election is going to be Christmas, I will not align myself with such a politician. I'm not calling for violence, but if that is your meaning of what I'm saying, so
it's essential that you stated that because we needed to be sure that you're not calling for violence because nobody.
I am not calling, but if that is your meaning, so be it.
Okay. Well, let's go over to Abuja where we have Engineer Kaura Wakili. He's in Abuja. Okay, Engineer Kaura is not in at the moment. He'll join us much later for another conversation. So let me bring this back to the studio. Daily Fanimo, voter apathy. I mean, I ask you the same question. Do you think Nigerians would want to go out to vote this time around? And what are the dangers if Nigerians say, okay, they have decided? I mean, prior to 2023, we had voter apathy plague elections. But then in the build-up to 2023, there was a lot of campaign and a lot of trust. When they talked about BVAS, the introduction of BVAS and IREV, Nigerians felt, oh yes, with this one, we can guarantee that when we vote, it will count. But now we're seeing the Senate basically play around with the expectation of Nigerians. Nigerians are asking for something else, but here we are being presented with something else. And it feels like the rug has been pulled from off the feet of Nigerians. Do you think this will take us back to the days of voter apathy? Or what would you advise Nigerians to do, really, at this time?
Look, you see, trying to disenfranchise yourself will not solve this problem. I would rather people go out to vote and stay by the polling unit until your votes are counted. And whatever means, see, there is a way you tenaciously hold to certain things that whoever wants to manipulate you will think twice. We are not saying there should be violence. But if you insist that you want to see where what you templated will go, and you have your own party agent who is going to countersign. Another thing that those who are going to contest the election next year should do is that your sphere of voting, your constituency, make sure you have your agent on each polling unit, manning each polling unit. Because if you are not there, you don't know what happens.
Some have said that will not make any difference when it comes to
you
because
see?
when results are not transmitted,
You see, let me tell
results
you.
could be altered on paper.
Even when the result is not transmitted, you understand, you can do your part by ensuring that at that unit, before votes counted are taken out, there is a form EC8 that each party agent will sign before you move. But in most cases, where it is very convenient for people to rig is where you just say, I don't need this area, whatever they are doing. This is my area of influence. In the last election, some presidential candidates didn't have agents even in some states, and whatever they do to manipulate, even if you go to court, what are you going to present as facts that election was manipulated against you? Okay. So let the voters also insist that they want to see what happens to what they are doing.
Okay, now more like shifting responsibility now to the voters. I'm not saying.
Wait, you see, what I'm saying is the starting point.
When I said shifting responsibility, I didn't mean that you are now saying that the voters should be held responsible if the elections fail. That's not what I mean. Probably I should have said shared responsibility.
Exactly.
Okay, now I'd like to ask you, let's apply the rotary code in all of this, the four-way code. Four-way test. Is it fair to all concerned? Because I asked that question in light of the fact that we have also heard people say, well, Nigeria is not yet ripe for electronic transmission of votes. We need a substructure upon which the structure and the superstructure are built. Now, the substructure that we are looking at now is internet connectivity, power stability, real-time transmission, logistics, and all of that. In all honesty, in all sincerity, do you think that Nigeria has reached a stage where we have to exclusively rely on e-transmission of results for elections to be free, fair, and credible? Have we reached that stage? If you consider the substructure that I talked about.
Yeah, you talked about availability of power and
internet
connectivity. You see, all this...
And logistics.
You see, logistics have always been there. If you want to... Why is it that when they are campaigning, they find their way to the remotest part of their constituency? They also use logistics. Okay. Some politicians in a far-flung area, you can use the motorbikes.
No, when I talked about logistics...
You talked about movement of materials.
Not just movement of materials, logistics in terms of
collation of results. Yes. That's what I'm saying. Why is it convenient for them when they know that they are strong in a particular area, that they ensure that that area is well covered? That's one. Two, internet. You see, in a place where there is no internet, apply the unconventional radio that the military and the police use.
Which is?
Radio.
Okay, radio.
Yes. Okay. Build a mast, use radio.
You have come back to building mast and radio. All
what I'm saying is
those equipment also rely on power.
When there are some places that you don't require, and what with the budget of INEC, what we think that we cannot get generators if private sector telecom companies have the power generating.
I'm not trying to put up an argument. I'm just trying for us to break the barriers, to clear the entry barriers that we have in all of this.
The will to do it is what is lacking. The will to do it is what is lacking.
Okay.
And because these people are beneficiaries of this flawed process, that's why they won't want it corrected.
Okay, so because the will is not there, the will is we are ripe. Because we are talking about 774 local government areas, about 32,000 polling units across the country.
Polling units. We have more than enough money to take care of the uncovered areas.
And you think it's something they can achieve? The elections are barely months away. Do you think this is a very lofty, grand idea? But do you think it's possible to be?
Look, what does it take to have solar powered energy? It doesn't take more than 2 weeks. Individually, we do it at home. And once you get probably your batteries, your lithium batteries, once you get the panel, and then in 2 days, the light is on. And all this humongous money that they are stealing.
All right.
I just want to take you back a bit. You touched on voter apathy. Even the comrade in Benin said the same thing. But if you feel as from Nigerians, it's pretty much like the game is already scripted. And a lot of Nigerians it appears as though a lot of Nigerians have lost faith. And do you think, considering what happened at the last election that brought this present administration into power, do you think Nigerians will still come out in their numbers in 2027? Do you think that will happen?
You see, I would not hazard a guess, but I would only encourage Nigerians to come out to vote. Because if you don't vote, they will still stuff these ballot boxes. Because they are not there. But at least your presence and your insistence at the polling units can at least restrain them in some places. But if you allow it to go unchallenged, and then finally the Senate should begin process, if it is true that majority said they want transmission through electronics, then they should start impeachment process.
All right, then thank you very much, Mr. Fanimo. Now let's take this back to Barrister Adams, Asim Adams. Barrister, now I wanted to move away from the legal aspects of things now. Okay, I understand that we only have Honorable Comrade Destiny and Abulede. All right then. Oh well, Comrade. Now, well, basically, my question was for Barrister Asim Adams, so reframing it, But basically, what would be your final thoughts on this one? Let's have your final thoughts on this one. Should we just give up and say, look, let's not even bother about elections anymore, because it feels like there'll be no penalty for those that will be involved in vote buying and selling. It feels like it's going to be, a free day for everyone this time around. And the fact that the optics gives the impression that the votes may not count. So, what will be your final thoughts? All right, we seem to have an audio problem there. Our engineers will fix that one. But let's move away from this conversation. Let's move on to another conversation. Now we're talking about terrorist activities. We hear that terrorists successfully operated and killed several people for hours. They operated for hours before military arrived. And that's talking about what happened in Kwara State a while back. This is coming from the village head. Let's talk about this after this break. Stay with us.
In a world where power shifts with every headline.
In a nation full of questions.
In a world filled with noise, The truth needs a voice.
The policies that shapes our world and the economy that determines our future.
Every hour, every day, the grapevine keeps buzzing. And together, we are committed to telling the stories that shape our world because your voice is our focus.
Don't forget, our voice matters the most. Let us come together and share our concerns.
Welcome back, and you're still watching VOP this morning. Nigeria's worsening insecurity took another bloody turn as terrorists stormed a Kwara community, killing scores, and the village head in a brazen attack that has left residents in shock and fear. In an account-reeling statement, the head of Woro village in Kwara State, Umar Bio Saliu, condemned the delayed response of security forces, revealing that the terrorists attacked this community for nearly 10 hours, leaving scores dead and homes destroyed. Barely hours later, Fulani gunmen unleashed terror in Benue State, massacring 16 traders in a local market, further deepening the humanitarian crisis in the Middle Belt. These coordinated assaults highlight the growing reach of armed groups who continue to target rural communities, leaving families displaced and livelihoods destroyed. Reacting to the Kwara attack, President Bola Tinubu condemned the killings and ordered the immediate deployment of troops to the affected areas, promising that governments will not allow terrorists to overrun communities. Mr. Fanimo, we've seen this happen all the time, and we begin to wonder how can terrorists, bandits, operate in a village, in a community for 10 hours unchallenged and move on? And then we had coordinated attacks as well in Benue State. What does this really say? What does this really say?
The December 25, 2025 incident in Sokoto, I knew that these guys would change the modus operandi. And the lesson they would have learned from that incident in Sokoto, where they were routed, was that they were static. You understand? And so you can see it's a new development now. What they do is they do coordinated attack, disperse into thin air, and then regroup again, you know. And the unfortunate part of it is, why it's even difficult for our security agents is, they know our security agents, but the security agents don't know them. Because when they perpetrate these acts, they drop their weapons somewhere for those who keep their armory, and then they move freely within the city. You don't identify them by looking at their face.
But you've also said on this show several times that we don't lack intelligence. So you're saying that security operatives don't know them?
I'm not saying,
okay.
What I'm saying is individually.
Okay.
That Okada man that took you from point A to B, you never can tell. It could be a terrorist. Okay. That sugarcane seller that you go there to buy sugarcane from, or that suya malam that you buy suya from, could be a terrorist. He will just finish his assignment and come back. I've witnessed some of these things in the past where a particular armed robber was arrested in Ibadan. When the landlady of that man came, she was practically fighting the police. SARS, that why did you pick somebody that is innocent? Until the man confessed that he was an armed robber. His own robbery operation happens in the afternoon. It was part of those people that attacked a female newscaster on NTA. Yes. So when they want to go, they wear suits. They go out in the morning and return in the afternoon. Even the wife does not even know. The wife sees, one of them was arrested in the Alaba market, and he had, at that time, his shop was worth more than 40 million naira. So how would you know that that person is an armed robber? That's what we are saying. So these people, they have taken a toga that might be a little bit difficult. That's not to say that the intelligence community cannot still do their job. But I'm telling you the level at which they have grown, to the extent that these people may never be caught, except if there is insider, maybe just one clue. And that's why we should be educated enough to know that when incidents like this happen, you don't just mop up the whole area. You allow trained detectives to come and sift through. That's why in advanced countries, they cordon off areas like that for experts to come and see if they, because one minute clue can lead to the mass arrest of these people. But unfortunately, they have taken on a guerrilla operation attitude that may be a little bit difficult for the security agents to grapple with.
All right. Thank you very much, Dele Fanimo. Let's quickly run to Barrister Eze Eluche, who has rejoined us virtually. Barrister, thanks for staying with us. Now, I'd like to ask you, you understand what went down in Kwara State, over 170 people slaughtered, in cold blood by people that are now termed extremists. There's an angle I want us to look at, and that is the involvement of the United States of America. We were told by General Dagvin Anderson, the commander of African Command in Stuttgart, Germany, that, well, we have our soldiers here in Nigeria, light footprints, a small contingent, and it was an agreement between us and the Nigerian president late last year in Rome, when we met in Rome and we talked about all of that. Do you think that American presence is going to as much as help us solve this problem, considering that, well, they say it's a small contingent? Now we are talking about Kwara. Tomorrow we might just be talking about Zamfara. We are still grappling with what is going on in Borno State, and we are not yet done with what is going on in parts of the Benue Plateau and all of that. Do you think that a small contingent of Americans will help us solve this problem? And is there a likelihood that they might just increase their footprint in Nigeria? And what would that portend for the Nigerian people in terms of America helping us to fight insecurity? What do you think, sir? What are you expecting in the coming days?
I think some of us are overblowing this American presence on Nigerian soil. America has always had troops in Nigeria. Every American embassy or the consulate, both in Lagos and Abuja, have U.S. Marines who are troops, and there has always been advisory in an advisory capacity. They have the military attaché. American troops cannot come into Nigeria without congressional approval for combat operations. So most likely, the ones sent by AFRICOM are also advisory. I mean, they will be in the headquarters advising on strategy and support. So in real time, there are really no American boots on the ground. And we should not even be thinking of having American boots. I mean, nobody is stupid. They don't want to come and have their soldiers wasted by a system that has failed to protect itself. What we should be asking ourselves with all the several attacks that have gone on in this country is, do we have a police force? Do we have a Directorate of State Intelligence, the DSS? Do we have a military? Because I had Mr. Fanimo give a real example that maybe when they attacked them in Sokoto, they dispersed across the country. Is there no intelligence? Is there no military intelligence? Is there nobody that is checking on Nigerians? If we make phone calls, this same DSS and co, they monitor the phone calls we make. And they can't monitor the phone calls of terrorists. This only leads Nigerians to begin to think that maybe the government is somehow complicit in this. You say, what will the government benefit? If there is always crisis, there is people are not able to settle down, and if you change, when you even allow for local policing, allow the natives to have guns. This kind of rascals will come and start killing 170 at a go. Because when a man is in his house and has guns, you will think twice before even daring to come into that house, no matter the weapons you have, because you wouldn't know where the owner of the house is with his own gun. But we have a system, a very vicious system, that removes the guns, removes the weapons from the citizens, and all armed robbers, all criminals, all terrorists have guns. So what are we talking about in this country? Is the government, and every time these killings happen, Tinubu will, in his well-protected mansion in Aso Rock, issue senseless press releases. I call it senseless with all due sense of respect. Because you can't tell us you care for those who are dying, when every day we know that even to this week, before the weekend, another one will take place. then Bayo Onanuga and co will issue press releases that the president feels with us. What the hell does it mean he feels with us? If Nigerians can't have guns to defend themselves, then this kind of killings will continue. That is why some of us believe that for not allowing Nigerians the capacity, the weaponry to defend themselves, this regime is in cohort with these killers. I mean, we are discussing this today. Today is Kwara State. Tomorrow, who knows whether it will be in my own community in Imo State? Who knows whether it will be in the Sokoto State? Because these guys are all over the place. And they know Nigerians are not armed. Not too long ago in the Middle Belt, anytime the military comes in for mop-up operations, whereas when they come in to take away the weapons or the Dane guns, or even the cutlasses from the rural dwellers, most people begin to move out of that community because within 24, 48 hours, these killer terrorists will strike. And they know that the people are bereft of any means of defense. And still we have a president who has sworn to protect the lives of Nigerians, and he allows Nigerians to be killed on a daily basis. And he's talking of America. Let us not drag America into this. The Americans are not stupid. They don't want to come and sacrifice their own citizens. When we have a military, we have an inspector general, we have a chief of army staff, we have a director of the DSS, and EFCC, who live in plush residences in Abuja, well secured, and they don't give a damn what happens to the Nigerians. I speak for the people of Kwara because I know it can be my own community tomorrow. And this same military, this same government will issue the same nonsensical press release that they commiserate with Nigerians. Who wants your commiseration? Who wants your pity? Nigerians want to be lawfully armed and able to protect themselves and their families. You can imagine the pain of a father who is in his house. He's able to defend his family, but because he lacks the weapons, even if he has the money to buy it, the system criminalizes him for trying to protect his family. And this same criminal, this same system empowers the terrorists by giving them amnesty, giving them the education and reintegrating them in society.
All right,
and we are discussing this tomorrow. Today is Kwara. Chukma, mark my words. Before the weekend, we will be discussing on that state. And then Onanuga will come and issue another stupid press release. It's unfortunate.
We've had to discuss one. Just earlier today, we're talking about Kaduna and the rescued, kidnapped victims. And, so it's from one kidnap, killing to another kidnap, killing, and the rest. It's unfortunate that we have to talk about this, but the problem persists. And our desire is hopefully one day the voices of Nigerians would be heard, and then something tangible would be done to ensure that all these attacks are, an end is put to all these attacks. But let me take my next question to Barrister Asim Adams. Good morning to you, Barrister Asim Adams. Good morning once again. I do hope that you're still with us.
Yeah, good morning.
Yes, good to have you still there with us, because I understand that we lost connection to you at some point. Now, this is Kwara State. The attack on Kwara State. A lot of people have hinged it on religion. They look, these people refused to accept Sharia law, and that's why they were attacked. Christians and Muslims alike, to be very fair and honest, were attacked in that attack. But this is not central Nigeria. What does this say about stability in the north central part of Nigeria? What does this say, seeing that the capital of Nigeria is somewhere around there as well?
When Nigeria is being ravaged by terrorists, and Kwara State is not the FCT as the case may be. It's a dangerous, trajectory and implication. But what hollow in all about this, why is that people begin to say religion, Christian, Muslim? That is not my business. Whether they are Muslims or Christians, they are Nigerians that are being killed on a daily basis. The Constitution, under Section 14 sub 2B, didn't differentiate security for Christians, security for Muslims. It says that security for all Nigerian citizens. So when we begin to use the narrative, Christian, Muslims, I don't really understand. So if you don't polarize it on religious grounds, the government will not act. These are terrorists.
No,
People attacking whether Christian or Muslim.
We understand.
They are terrorists.
We understand that the governor had to put out a statement that out of the over 175 killed, about 75 of them were Muslims. That's why we are putting out the narrative. But then we've had
I'm trying.
there. Do you think that will make a difference?
I know. I understand exactly what you are talking about. I am saying that who counted the bodies to know that the 77 are Muslims and the other ones are Christians? Why the different? Why do you have to shade and even give figures of Christian Muslim? These people, for goodness sake, are Nigerians. The reason why the governor is saying 77 are Muslims is because he wants to whip up sentiments and sympathy. So now, forward that narrative that it is not only Christian genocide that you have in Nigeria. That is the essence. When you have dead bodies who do not speak, you now tell me 77 of them are Muslim. What's my business with that? My business with that, Mr. Governor, is that you have failed to protect these people, whether Muslims or Christians. My business with that, Mr. Governor, Mr. President, is that you have abdicated your responsibilities under Section 14 sub 2B that talks about security and welfare for the people. So I don't want to know whether they are Christians or Muslims. What I know is that they are Nigerians who were attacked by criminals who are terrorists, and you are doing nothing about it. Forget about the narrative, what happened in North Central, what happened to Christian or Muslim, as case may be. Now let me tell you something. The other day I advocated, and I still stand by my word. The Nigerian Constitution empowers me to resort to self-defense when I'm attacked. I will not, and I repeat, call on any security situation, agencies. If anybody dare attack me, I have the right to self-defense. And whatever I use to defend myself within the Constitution, I have that particular right. The Nigerian people should begin to imbibe such that when they attack, that particular, the criminal section and philosophy that says that you have the right to self-defense. You don't just hold your hands and allow these people to slaughter and kill on a daily basis. Because the government of the day is doing nothing about it to protect you and to secure lives and properties.
All right,
under our Constitution and our criminal jurisprudence. Yes. If you threaten my house and if you threaten my property and my life, I have the right to repel. That is what we call self-defense. So let us invoke that and let government begin to implement, not religious or whatever as it may be, that if you are attacked by anybody, invoke your right to self-defense and repel those attacks by whatever means you can. That is the only way we can tackle this thing.
All right,
this government is not serious.
Thank you, Barrister. Let's go over to Comrade Destiny. Comrade Destiny, a lot of people keep saying that maybe we should take up arms, Nigerians should resort to self-defense. But don't you think that this might set a precedent, considering the peculiarity of the Nigerian society? And don't you think we might have some dangerous vigilante movement coming up as a result of this?
Well, yeah, I appreciate you. I think you asking the question, you should know my stand. I'm going to be very frank. I said it earlier. I said desperate time requires desperate measure. I was raised in an environment that says you must defend yourself, you must stand for yourself. Don't be intimidated. My father was a teacher. Later, he became a politician. So there's no way you say a Nabulele, Chidi, Nabulele, say, that man, it's a fearless man. And that has been my stand. So I have listened that for a Kwara State governor to begin to differentiate which is Muslim, and which is Christian. This is an aberration. This is an aberration. They are not talking about Nigerians here. They are not saying they are Nigerians. So that is the problem. I think the last speaker has really hit the nail on the head. You see, the problem is this. We have now come up with religious sentiment to begin to bamboozle, to begin to deceive the people and tell them so that the people will not leave the real matter, the core of the matter. They are killing our brothers. They are killing our sisters. And here you have some very disgruntled and people that are not fit to manage the local government. They find themselves in the saddle of leadership managing the state. They begin to come up with optics that is not of this world, that is inhuman. So for me, you have asked me a question that yes, we need to equip, we need to defend ourselves. Is there in the Bible? It says in the days of John the Baptist, the kingdom will go suffer violence, and the violent one taken it by force. What that means, you must protect yourself and you must defend yourself. Okay. A situation where I'm coming, let me now with this talk. Okay. A situation where the Nigerian state is against the citizen and facilitating murder of the citizen. As you said, the people should not defend themselves. Anybody that rely on this government for security and whatever, the person is equally in a nightmare. Okay. Not the dreaming again, it's in a nightmare. Okay, and the person need to wake up and begin to pray to the ancestors. Mr. Because I don't know
Mr. Fanimo, he painted a very grim picture here in the studio. He said these terrorists know our security operatives, and our security operatives do not know them. What does this say about the structure of the Nigerian security mechanism at this point?
It's this morning. You see, it's laughable. I think Mr. Eze, he has hit the nail on the head once again. You see,
no, it was Mr. Fanimo who said that. Okay.
Yes, I think Mr. Eze, the man that joined virtually, the fair man, I think before Mr. Fanimo. Yeah. You see, the issue is this. It's simple. I have said it. I think in one sister's platform last week that the DSS has outlived its usefulness, and that's my next campaign. That is my next campaign. I'm using. I have a dossier of evidence, and I challenge them to invite me. From my experience when I was attacked in my village, in my local government, because the deputy governor gave them the go ahead. They led a thug to attack me in my voting center. What do you call that? So this DSS, they've outlived the constitutional duty, and they need to be disbanded. And that should be our next, because they ought to be a source of information gathering. But they are no longer doing that. They are in bed. They are either eating jollof rice, or they are in bed with contracts, or they are in bed, they are not becoming the top wing of the APC. I said that openly. They are now the top wing of APC, because I am a living beneficiary of their top wing of APC. But thank God I'm still alive. And I will stand before them, be either before our Lord Jesus Christ or before any constitutional authority. The issue is this, is very simple. As we stand in this country, no security. I refuse to talk about the Nigerian police. Right. Because one of our problems, fundamental problem, is the Nigerian police. All right. They are better. I'm coming. Let me learn with this thought. Okay, we have been told that his tenure has since elapsed. Even the so-called DSS boss, the Director General, his tenure has since elapsed. And you expect something fantastic. They are preparing them for the general election.
All right, thank you very much, Honorable Comrade Destiny.
The ones that
absolutely out of time, and we appreciate you for your contribution. This is where we have to wrap this conversation up. Yes, the issue of insecurity persists, and it troubles a lot of Nigerians to know that our brothers and sisters are being killed. And the question now is, we hope it doesn't get to city centers, but Nigerians are also calling on government to do the needful, what it has been elected to do, which is protect lives and property. Well, thank you very much, gentlemen. We've been speaking with Asim Adams Esquire. Thank you very much for your contribution. And also Eze Luce Esquire. We've also had Honorable Destiny Enabulele and also Dele Fanimo with us in the studio. Thank you, gentlemen. That's it on the show today. Newspaper review comes up shortly. But in the meantime, I am Moses Humphrey, and my colleagues here, Chukwuma Okoro and Jane Ogoye, will join you again, or we ask that you join us again at 10 o'clock for newspaper review. Bye for now.
VOP TV. Now, you have more than a voice.
We encourage you to click on the like button and subscribe to our YouTube channel. We are Voice of the People TV. Also follow us on all our social media platforms. We are at VOP TV Live. Visit our website www.vop.ng for fresh and trending news. Also